All right, welcome back. Welcome back. Now, last time we set up our hunger and our thirst. Now, this time let's actually cure the hunger and the thirst. So let's do hunger first because I think that'll be the easiest one. Let's go ahead and do this. So we are going to make a pickup from our pickups. So go to your blueprints, assets, pickups, and you know your master pickup here. We need to make one that's food. So right click, create a child blueprint class, and we're going to call this food master underscore BP. Now all the food will act the same way. So what will the food do? It will cure your hunger, right? So how will it cure your hunger? Remember, the hunger is going down by a float. So if we want the food to cure the hunger, we need the food to go up by a float. So let's go to third person character real quick and let's look at that float. So our hunger is down here. Hunger and max hunger. Max hunger is at 100, hunger is at 100. So let's go ahead and create a custom event or even a function, but I think I'm gonna do custom event. We're gonna call this add to or eat food, call it eat food. And it's going to be a custom event. So type in custom event and we'll just type in eat food. Now, for this custom event, what we want to do is get this hunger and we want to add to it. So plus some float. We don't know what this float is yet. So we need to create this as a variable. So this will be a variable, but where are we going to get it from? From whatever the pickup is. So let's compile and save. And we're going to drag this off and say promote to variable. And this will be like food amount. Compile and save. So what you're going to do when you eat food is you're going to get the hunger, you're going to add the food amount to it. Right now, food amount is 0. That's fine. And then we're going to set the hunger. So grab all hunger and set the hunger. And then we're going to plug that in. Okay, now compile and save. So what we have to do now is set this food amount variable. And we're going to set that every time we pick up some food. So let's go back into our pickup that we just made called food master. And we need to give this one a variable. So add a variable to this one, and we're going to call this food amount. And it needs to be a float. Compile and save. Now, for each one of these, the food amount can be different and we can change it on the fly. So I'm going to put the eyeball open. Just think of this as a piece of bread, right? Like it's not a square anymore. This is our piece of bread. And we don't have the mesh, or if you do, you could just replace it right here where it says mesh. Replace your food here. I don't have mine yet. I might have to make it. But anyways, so we've got that set up. We've got that set up. Food amount. All right, so let's go to the event graph here. And remember, every time you walk close to this, because this is a pickup, it's going to have a name that will be called out. So in this case, what will the name be for this? For this one, we're going to leave it blank because we're going to set the food name in every single food. So let's actually just make a piece of food first. And we'll just act like this is chicken. So let's call it chicken. Chicken, right? Compile and save. How much will chicken give you? Let's say it's going to give you, remember, the total is 100. So let's say it'll give you 10. Okay. Right. Now all we have to do is set up the interaction. So the sphere is already set up from the master item. So we don't have to worry about the sphere. What we do have to worry about is the interact code. So interact. And what we want is the event interact. Now, once the player interacts with this food, we want them to eat the food, right? So let's go ahead and remember this eat food. So we need to call that. So cast it a third person character. Get player character. Then you want to set the food amount. So get this food amount variable that we made here. And then from the third person character, set food amount to this amount. So every time you pick up one of these, this food amount will be different. So this will be set different. So now that it's set different, all we have to do is call off the third person character and say eat food. Because what that will do is it will make sure that the third person character eats the food. So it'll take their hunger and it'll add the food amount to their hunger. And it'll set their hunger. One more thing we have to do is we have to destroy this item. So I would say delay real quick, put a delay and just a really, really quick delay. So like a 0.1. Yeah, there we go. Put a 0.1 second delay. And then from there, we're going to destroy the actor. So destroy actor. Compile and save. All right, so let's test it out, right? Let's put that food master out here. And when we walk over, it's going to be called chicken. So let's check all that out. Our hunger bar is ticking down. And now we walk over to the chicken. If we eat the chicken, our hunger bar goes back up. And now it's ticking. So that's right. So now you can have any kind of food that you want in your game. This is just the master food item, which we don't have to change anything about it. If you want to start adding food, what we'll do is let's go ahead and put a folder here. New folder, and we'll call it food. And you'll put the food master in there. And then any food that you want, you just have to create a child blueprint class of the food master. And it'll come with all the properties of the food master. Okay, now that we know that it works, let's enhance it a little bit. So on the variables, let's go back into our food master and let's add some variables to it. So let's add like probably some weight, just in case they want to store it. And we're going to make that a float, I think. It's an integer. So let's make it an integer just to stay consistent. We're going to add, what if it's like put the eyeball on all of these. We need another like Boolean to see if it's like free food or not. So is this like free? Because if it's not free, then that means he's stealing it. And yeah, we can add stealing inside of the game because most survival games have that. So if he comes up on some food and it's not free, then we can play with that variable there. Also, let's add, what if he wants to store it in his pack instead of just eat it? So let's say inventory, or storage food, maybe like storage. So if storage is true, then he'll be able to store it in his pack. And storage, I don't think we have to click that one on and off, unless you want it to be variable throughout the world. I'll show you what these eyeballs do in a moment when we test this out here. I mean, we kind of saw it before, but let's look at it in another way. Okay, so we may come back and add more variables here, but that kind of makes a lot of sense to me. So look at this. This is our food master. And if we add another one by Alt, drag it out. So the first one was chicken. This one, on the right-hand side, we can call it something else. We can call it steak. And we could set the food amount to 20. And then you could set the weight to whatever. Then you could say, is it free food or not free food? Now, you can have some of this food in your inventory, like as items like in your data table, but you don't have to have all the food. So this is how you could have a lot of different food in your game. And some of it could be inventory food, but some of it can be food that you eat. So you can just say, oh, no, you can only eat this food. But if it's like stealable, then you can put it in your inventory. So watch when he goes to these two different foods right here. So when we go to this one, it should say chicken. When we go to this one, it should say steak. And now you can just duplicate them as many times and you can give them different properties. But we will integrate it with the data table system. Once we get the thirst in here, that's what we're going to do. We're going to integrate both of them together. So now that we got those variables there, that's an awkward angle. Now that we got those variables in here, let's go ahead and, I guess, set up some of the thirst here, a basic thirst system. So in a third-person character, just how we set up the custom event for eating food, let's do a custom event for thirst. So add custom event, we're going to say drink water. And the same setup, exactly the same setup, except just do it with thirst. So get your thirst down here. And we're going to add. And we need to set up a variable. So drag this off and promote it to a variable. And we're going to call this drink amount. Perfect. And then we just set the thirst here. Now, a couple things here. Now, we've got our drink water function, which is very easy. We can comment that drink water. Okay. And you can drink any amount of water, as we know. But let's go ahead and clamp off these variables here. Let's say this. If he eats food and the food is that he eats, his hunger is greater than or equal to max hunger, then set hunger. So we need a branch. Set hunger to max hunger. So that way, if the hunger is ever greater than or equal to max hunger, you're just going to set it at max hunger. And same way here for max thirst. If the thirst right here is ever greater than or equal to the max thirst, which is down here, then put a branch and connect it here. Condition is there. And so if that is true, then we need to set the thirst as the max thirst. That way, if you can never go above 100, that will assure that you'll never ever go above 100. And then we can do that in the drain functions where you can never go below 0. So drain hunger. So we can drag off here and say less than or equal to 0 branch. Then set the hunger. Oops, set it. We need to set the hunger, sorry. So grab hunger off here and set it to 0. Now, this can be a whole event here. We can make some cool things happen when you set the hunger to 0. But for now, we'll just set it to 0 so that it won't tick past 0. Compile and save. And do the same thing for the thirst. So we'll say if it's less than or equal to 0, then what we're going to do is we're going to clamp it off. Set it to 0, basically. So find your thirst and set thirst to 0. Now, again, what we're going to do in the future is we're going to make it a function, because you can put functions inside of functions. So we're going to make a function that happens here when the hunger or the thirst is 0. But for now, let's just set it to 0 and call it a day. So we didn't set up the thirst pickup, so let's really quickly do that. So we need to do just like we did the food. There's like we can do a thirst. So grab off your master pickup item, do a child blueprint, and we're going to say drink underscore BP, drink underscore BP, or drink master, because maybe you want to have different kinds of drinks, just like we have different kinds of foods. You can also make a folder for this. So just in case you want to have like a game like Elden Ring, where you have so many different items and stuff like that. Some of your drinks don't have, we can set up the drinks the same way. So the drinks are going to have, what do we call it? Drink amount. So let's add a float real quick as a variable called a drink amount. And we'll call it a float, not an integer. All right. And we also, drinks, do you want them to be able to pick up drinks and have weight? Yeah, let's go ahead and put some weight there. So weight, W-I-G-H-T, integer, just to keep that consistent. And we could turn those on, the eyeballs on for those. Let's say, can he steal a drink? So let's say free and make that a Boolean. Make sure you ask a question so you know what you're asking. Is it free? And what else did we put in our food? Storage. Okay, let's also put that storage one here. Question mark. Cool. And oh yeah, the storage does not have to have the eyeball on, but everything else does. It doesn't have to, but it's preferable. Now for the drink master, let's call it the drink amount. Let's say 35. And what is the name of the drink? Compile and save. The name of the drink is going to be called cherry wine. Okay. Compile and save. Let's go ahead and drop our drink master out into the world. And for our drink master, let's change the color of the cube real quick so we don't get confused. Let's change it to like whatever color we see first, just like this one. Blue to represent drinks. I did it on purpose. All right, lastly, what we've got to do is let's go ahead and code this drink up. So open up your drink master and we need to put the code in here. So the interaction code. We already know that the sphere is set up. So what we need to do is just the interaction code, and it can be the same as your food. So event interact. So what you could do is go to your food, master, and kind of copy all of this and go back to your drink master and just paste and plug it in. Now, instead of food amount, we need to get the drink amount and plug that in here. So delete the food amount. And instead of set food amount, we need to set drink amount. So drag off a third person character, set drink amount. Bop. And plug it to the drink amount. And then instead of eat food, we need to say drink. Drink water. Put that in there. That delay, destroy actor. Perfect. Now you can pick up the drink just the same way you can pick up the water. In the future episodes, we're going to like enhance this system greatly. This is very basic, just so that you can get it out into your world and start, brainstorming what you might want to do. But we can now pick up the drink the same way we could pick up the water. Again, we're going to add some data tables and structures to make this way more enhanced in future episodes. But thanks for joining me in this one. I'll holler at you on the next one. Peace.
Run to the money, on my feet, don't fail. The DA and the judge, wanna do their best to jail. I done turned it all.